Okay, hi, hello. This is Rani Ahmed with you, and this is lesson in the series of TCL on Cisco. Now, this lesson is going to talk about configuring a router to be able to reach the tftp server, which is on the outside world, which is on the cloud here, which is on our machine, okay, on our desktop, okay, from like a very far router, so from a remote router. So R3 is very remote from the cloud, okay, from my machine. Okay, so in a way that they are not, of course, every router means that if you know routing, whenever you have the IPs like in this fashion, like you have here one, and maybe you have here two, and there's here 122C in the middle. Okay, those are different network addresses. Okay, so those cannot communicate unless you have a router in between, and there's a routing protocol in between. Now I'm going to take the simplest, which is RIP, and this is the very very well known old fellow RIP. Rest in peace, some people name it because it's routing internet protocol, but they call it rest in peace because after 16 routing jumps, like if you have on your path not just 3 like this, the routers you have up to 16, so at the 16th after it will stop routing anymore. Now if you want more, you'll have to change from RIP to Open Shortest Path Protocol, OSPF. Cool. Now I'm going to use here also the simple RIP, not the RIP version 2, which can deal also with manipulating the bits in the net mask here. Okay, and allow network subnetting. For those who don't know really in Cisco, but they just want to program TCL on Cisco, just understand that whenever you have different network IDs, like the network ID of this side is 192.168.1.0 over 24. Okay, so and this one, for example, the second one here is here at this side, okay, at the F10 this side is 192.168.2.0 over 24. Now those are on different networks, as I said, so this means they are on different towns, if you want to say, and if they have to if somebody from town A want to go to town B, okay, usually he would pass through a cross point, you know, and you will have the green yellow light sign, you know, the lights. Okay, so at that point this is where we call it routing, okay, because you're going from a different area to another different area. So and finally, just to conclude, that this obliges us to use routing. Okay, if both are the same network ID, it's easy, they can take from each other. Okay, and they don't need a router, even just a switch. You can put just a switch and it will work. Now I know I made this introductory a bit longer, but it's just important for us to understand what's going on. Now what I'm going to do is make R3, okay, reach C1 here, the cloud, okay, and also it has to reach the other two routers, okay, through RIP. Okay, so let's start by configuring the routers. Now by the way, the routers are already configured by their I mean the IP addresses of all the interfaces of all the routers are already configured. I don't want to waste time on recording on how to configure them. We have already done that in lesson 2. Okay, So let's start with R1. So we have to go here and say I started fresh, exit. Okay, so when you start fresh, you start at this point. This is the unprivileged mode. So I'm gonna go to a privileged mode, so I say enable, okay, and type config t or configure terminal, either way you want to do it. And then I go to router to configure the router here, because here the configuration means the router, and I want to execute it as or run it as a rep router. Okay, and press enter. Then I mention every network ID here, so I say network 192.168. Now every network ID you know, mention it. So for example here I have, let's minimize this. So I have here the 192.168.122.0, this side from the network of C1, and this side from the network of R1. So this link has the 192.168.122.0, okay, and the link between R1 and R2 has the network ID, which is 192.168.1.0, and between R2 and R3, okay, R2 is in the middle, R3 is in the bottom. Okay, so there is the link which is the network ID here, 192.168.2.0. okay, this is after calculating the IP addresses and knowing how to get the routing and the network IDs. Okay, but I'm just saying it to you now. So I have to mention every one here. So 122.0, and I can go pressing up to edit the line. So I also put the 1.0 and 2.0. Cool. So this is all I have of network IDs. Now I press Ctrl Z just to go back, and I say show IP route. Okay, so to see the routing table, so what the router has taken of routes, ways to submit and send the message from one side to the other, from one hand, from one interface to the other interface, okay, which are both on different networks. Okay, so you can see things connected means that they are already directly connected, they don't need any routing. Once you see R, this means RIP is working. Now one router has been configured, it's not enough, I have to go to the other routers, so routing would work. And RIP is an automatic routing protocol. You don't have to just set things by your hand like what we do in static routing later. Okay, I'm going to show you static routing because it's important for us to be able to connect with from R3 to C1 and C1 backwards to R3, all the way the line, of course. So this is R2. We go back and do the same. Okay, so enable and config T. See, I can do it this way, and then I say router rip. I just copy things as is. Okay, and network 192.168.122.0 blah, blah, da. Okay, Ctrl Z, and I start showing. Now it needs a little bit of time just to converge, that's what we call it, just to show up in every routing table. Okay, now show IP route. Okay, now both routers are already connected directly, R2 and R1. Now the rip will show up once we add more, okay, because both are directly connected, so rip is not needed. Okay, this much. Now I'm going to go to rip 3, okay, router 3, and enable. Okay, you can't use those shorthands, it's okay, and conf T, and and a router rep equals, and then network 192.168.122.0 and edit that and edit that. Cool. Now Control Z. Now I say show IP route. Okay, now it will take a little bit of time, just like half a minute. Okay, I know we can set it somewhere, I just forgot where, but simply it's the timers of the routing. Okay, so it will update it. Once after a while, CR started showing. Okay, so this means if I have to go to one from R3, now I'm in R3, see here it's R3. Okay, so if I want to go from R3 to 122, okay, it has to go through the interface that's having this IP. Okay, it's the interface F00. Okay, and we have also showing again, see, you'll see R. This is how to go to 122 from R2. Now rep is good in the way that you have, you know, like I have 3 links. Once you have 3 links, which means I have four stops here, including the cloud. Okay, this means it's preferred that you use rep. It will automatically put the routes for us, because if you have to do it statically, you have to go from like for example between R1 and R2, but static is faster than rep, but you'll have to go, if you have for example a router 1 at one city and the other at the second city, and you will have both to be set at both sides, going forward and going backward. Okay, so for R1 should tell itself to go to R2, the route, and R2 has to tell itself the route to go to R1. Okay, now if we want to ping from R3, because I consider R3 the farthest point in the network, okay, with respect to the outside world, okay, at least with my own PC. Okay, this is R1, no, I want R3. So what I do is just ping, okay, on the very first step in the privilege mode here. Okay, there's nothing in between here, no parentheses. So 192.168.122.2. okay, I can ping that. So this means from R3 I can go, okay, from within R3, from inside R3, with a message that goes all the way through R2 and R1 and reaches here, this point. Okay, but what we want to do is make R3 send something to the outside world. Now the outside world, as we know, is the 122.1. What we pinged is the side of R1. Okay, now, so as if we are in the middle of the way, we did not reach C1. So if I have to ping C1, okay, it will stop. Why? Because there's no route, no way to go, okay, no path, it's blocked path. So what we do is go to every router, okay, and configure a default route first of all. Okay, so, and this is a static route, so so I go to conft in R3, okay, and IP route, and I add static because it's a static one, it's a fixed one. Okay, it's not a dynamic one, like if you removed one from one router, it will be removed from the whole list of tables. No, this is static, it's always fixed, okay, in the table, it's always in the memory. so static. So if I want to go to anywhere 000 with a not mask of 000, this means anywhere, okay, I have to go to the route, through the route, which is 192.168.122, okay, .1, okay. There's a mistake here. Let me edit it. Okay, it was a mistake here. Such a simple one without the static word. Okay, so this is my route. I copy this the same for every route but the R1, because it is the IP of R1. Okay, so this is R2 conf t, and I paste this. Okay, doesn't matter if I put this, let me see what will happen if I do it. Conf t, okay, so let's try pinging again here. Okay, so it will not work. Okay, so on my Linux machine, so what I do is this way. Okay, so I have my virtual machine, I mean a virtual bridge, sorry, Verber 0. Okay, this is my network, so I must add this network to its routes. Okay, so anything that wants to go to wants to go to this link here between R2 and R3, it has to use the bridge. Okay, and same thing with R1, R2, well, you have to use the bridge but with address 10. So this is R2 address 2 and this is address 1. Let's try now pinging. See, now I have a route. Now it's pinged. Cool. Now this way it's very easy for me just to copy things from the tftp server. So this is where the magic starts. So I say copy, okay, tftp to disk 0. Okay, now 192.168.122.2, because this is the I mean 1, this is the router of the cloud. I mean this is the cloud, this is where the tftp server is, and then I want you get the hello.tcl, remember, and again, and I want to confirm. He says it's there because it was this thing, but see, I can copy it. Cool. And simply this is R3, this is so far from the cloud, so tcl sh and source, just to run the script here, hello disk 0 and hello.tcl. See, so this is on R3. So this is all the setup. Okay, and thanks for watching.